Thank you. I also thank Jack Hare for this shirt. I'm sure you recognize this shirt, if you know who he was. Today, on 420 at the state capitol of Oregon, I would like for all of you to just give one moment of silence for a patient like your mother, your grandmother, your uncle, your aunt, your cousin, your brother, your sister, you name it, that's got to go hang around the parking lot at midnight tonight so they can get a little bit of medicine. You know, the kids, they call it a dub these days on the streets. Come on. I want you to think about those people tonight as you're celebrating throughout this day. We talk about safe access. I hear it all the time. I've heard it like 30 times up here at this podium since I've been sitting up here. Safe access where? You're shutting down dispensaries. They closing down dispensaries because it doesn't fit a rule that is to a new rule that got invented. People put their livelihoods, their blood, and their souls into these things. They work their hearts out. They care about patients and people's needs. You know, people like Peter talking about giving away medicine. Oregon Sweet Leaf Revival grows a garden every year just specifically for patients that cannot grow medicine, do not have an access point. Every year we do this. And the reason we have been forced to do this is because these folks living in their counties are criminals if they're caught growing, even though they have a legal card in their pockets. Let's not forget, there's quite a few people still in prison right now for cultivating cannabis and for fighting for cannabis. Eddie Lepp. If you don't know who Eddie Lepp is, he's still in prison, man, for fighting to have the freedom to have this plant in your lives, for that choice. Eddie, he's fought tirelessly, and now he's in federal prison for this plant. I keep hearing safe access, but then I've got friends in federal prisons for growing it. I got friends over in Eastern Oregon that are legal cannabis patients that are dying right now of stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4 cancers that have to drive over 300 miles to a safe access point if they can't get a black market deal that's better than driving 300 miles. It's time for the ignorance to end. And the only way we can end this ignorance unified across the board, whether it's for the recreational user or the medicinal user, the ignorance still reaps throughout us. We still have it in our group. Infighting, circles, my shit's better than yours. And all the while, the real sick people are being ignored. They're being ignored in counties all across our state. Our state has 2% safe access. Only 2% of our state right now. Those are confirmed numbers. And out of that 2%, how many of those patients are growing for themselves? See, Oregon Sweet Leaf Revival's message is that it starts with freeing the plant. I will give each and every one of you a free plant and teach you how to grow it from seed to finish so that you can have that relationship with that plant. Because then when you have that relationship with that plant, no man's words is ever going to tell you what's right and wrong any further from that point on. Because if you can cultivate one plant, after that plant is finished, and you're looking at your hard work, you realize that the relationship has ended the ignorance for you. You know what is good for you. And how you teach that to somebody else is by giving them one free plant. and standing with them and helping them and teaching them the beginnings and the endings of the plant. Once they learn that relationship, they will too fight like Eddie Lepp and all of us, all of you out here, coming here on your time to come down here from thousands of miles away from Florida and from the coast, or you guys came up from your farm, you know. I got a man down here that was part of the organization for the Million Man Marijuana March. I'm going to have him come up here in a bit and give us a final end to this. But what I've got to say is real simple, man. You have to have a voice in these halls. You have to do it. You know, Peter mentioned it by putting emails in and getting things done. But you know, if you're not an email savvy individual, you know, another way to work it out is to start networking with other groups and other people. Start talking, start communicating, start getting these things out. Because how old is this prohibition? 78 years, 79 years, I think. That's a long time for ignorance to prevail. You know, pretty soon we just get used to hearing it. And pretty soon it's just like Nancy Reagan, 1984, all over again. So, what I say to you folks is only you can prevent ignorance. And how you can prevent it is by freeing the plant. Let people choose whether they want to have a relationship with it or not. 79 million children have been aborted since 1973. They were given a choice. Mothers were given a choice. 79 million children have died since 1973. Roe versus Wade. A woman can go and do this, but I can't put that plant in my body, or 300 miles away in eastern Oregon, in Podunk Town, Ontario, home of Stormy Ray, mother of the safe access point. She can't have safe access. Her city councilors and police officers think she's a criminal. And what's really ironic is that if we don't start putting our voice in on this 91, I want you to take a good hard look at who is sitting up on that board. Who's on that panel? Every senator and representative that's sitting currently on the implementation of 91 panel all come from prohibition counties, like Jackson County. Yeah, you know how they treat criminals down there. They're called patients down in Jackson County. If a person's really sick, they get caught growing a little bit of cannabis, and if it's just a little bit too tall, well, it's over 12 inches. We're going to have to put you in cuffs. You got a bomb. We got to save the children. But when I asked them where about the 37 kids that died last year due to alcohol-related fatalities, who's responsible? They roll their eyes up in their head and they're going, oh, that crazy pothead. No, I'm serious. This is a valid question. You in the suit and tie, you lawyers, you lobbyists, you politicians. What about those 37 kids? What about their parents? What about their grandparents? Did you give them an answer? And we're supposed to trust you with the future? And you don't want to hear it? You just want to hear certain money lobbies and certain interests? Kind of sounds like what our governor just went through, huh? Or our ex-governor, I should say. But what's important is that you folks get out there, man, and do it. If you love this plant, you better fight for it. Because if you don't, then it's just going to go the way they want. ATFC. Alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and cannabis. Do we remember Ruby Ridge? Do we think that they were really successful there? Once again, OLCC and all these other groups. You know, it's time, man. Let's put it next to the tomato plant. It ain't killed nobody, but tomatoes have. They estimate that 66 people in America die from some kind of allergies to tomatoes in America. 66. Nobody's died from cannabis. Let's put it right next to the tomato plant. Let's choose. Let's have a right to choose. You already have a right to choose to abort your child. You have a right to choose. And it's time to stand up and get your voice out there. Whether it's to the senators, the representatives of this house of corruption, or whether it's to the streets and teaching people how to have a relationship with this plant. Because it begins with that one free plant. And if you want that free plant, you just come to me. I'll make sure you get it. Free of charge. And I'm going to bring up Al. And as we say at Oregon Sweet Leaf Revival Cannabis Garden Club, it is the state's only patient cannabis garden club. We do not accept members that are not patients. So if you are a patient and you're interested in cultivating and growing your own cannabis as a patient, then join us. We'll show you how to have that relationship. Al, I want you to come on up here, man. He's gonna finish me out. I love you all, and I thank you all for being here today.
Right on, Sweet Leaf, huh? That was great. Doing great things. My name is Al. I've been an activist since back in '98. I am not a native to Oregon, but I love this state. I've been lucky enough to be introduced back into activism through a lovely little girl who lives in this city. And so let me backtrack a little bit with who I am, about where I come from, and some of the things I may have done. Jack Hara, awesome guy, wrote me a letter back in 1999, sent me a little copy of his book, Grass, because in '98 I was putting on a festival right there in the Bible Belt, on the crosses of Highway 71 and I-44, right there in mid-America, where there are churches every 100 yards and a cop every 2 foot almost, or so it seemed. I am a combat veteran. I am a Marine. I too use, medicine for my PTSDs. I don't like to dream. And lucky for me, cannabis has been there for me and helped me through a lot of my own issues that I haven't had to burden very many people with due to my relationship with cannabis, which I was introduced to, ironically, in the Marine Corps by a very good close friend of mine, a gunny, who told me, this is going to help you in the next couple of years. And he was completely right. When I was in Missouri, I got arrested for possession of marijuana, and I was held in the middle of the street. 6 cop cars pulled up. My girl was freaking out, and I was roughed up a little bit. I went to stood before the man, and I said, I think justice has been served, I think you smacked me around enough a little bit, in front of my girl, kind of embarrassed me in the street. I am a Marine, and I'm a patriot. I'm an American, and I don't see why the brute force was needed. But I would say let bygones be bygones, don't mess with me anymore, and I'll walk away with a smile. He did not see it my way, so I went home, found my secret stash in the freezer, which ironically everybody has one there, and decided I was going to put on an event. 2 months later, I put on an event called the Cannabis Revival. It was a free event right in the middle of the park. We had only 250 people show up. And it was a glorious thing because it was the start. Just like this is. This is a start. This is the seed that he's given all of us already. It's not making a plant that's going to help our medical needs or even maybe a day of frustration. But he gave us a seed that we can share with other people. And that